The stone breathes a slow, ancient exhale before dawn. You open your eyes to the thin light that leaks through the watchtower slit, and the world is blue and gentle. You rise, roll the blanket with two careful hands, slip into simple cloak, and step into the corridor where the air holds a chill like memory. Your boots meet stone with a soft, measured rhythm, one step, then another, and the wall answers with the sound of ages, a distant bell, a gull's muted call, wind combing the crenellations. You check the flag, smooth its fold, and let your fingers remember the knot. You drink warm water, cup by cup, feeling the heat settle through your palms. All day is a sequence of small tasks. Sweep a patch of stone, leave a marker for a passer-by, fold a note inside your sleeve. Breathe with these motions. They are slow, steady, and safe. Let the wall's long rhythm carry you into rest.
The room is a small stone chamber, carved from the same mountain that holds the wall itself. It is a space of absolute stillness, a hollow in the rock where the silence collects like water in a basin. The darkness here is not heavy. It is merely a resting state, a pause between the chapters of the sun. Slowly, the air begins to change. It shifts from the deep, velvety black of the true night to a pale, translucent blue. The morning light is thin. It does not burst in. It leaks through the narrow slit of the window, a single vertical line of clarity that paints a stripe across the dust on the floor. It is a cool light, devoid of heat, carrying the visual memory of the mist that clings to the valley below. You open your eyes. There is no sudden start, no jarring alarm. Your waking is as gradual as the dawn itself. The eyelids lift, heavy and slow, revealing the familiar texture of the rough-hewn ceiling above. For a moment, you simply lie there, suspended between the dream and the day. You feel the temperature of the room against your skin, a crisp, distinct coolness that smells of old stone and dry straw. You feel the weight of the blanket over you, a heavy wool weave that has trapped the heat of your body through the night. It is a comforting weight, a tangible anchor that has held you safe while the stars wheeled overhead. You begin to move, and the movement is small. You shift your legs beneath the wool. You slide your hands out from the warmth, and the cool air greets your fingertips. It is a handshake with the morning. You grasp the edge of the blanket. The fabric is coarse but soft with wear, familiar to your touch. You pull it back, exposing yourself to the room. The air touches your face, your neck, your arms. It wakes the skin. It tightens the pores. It is a clean sensation, washing away the fog of sleep. You sit up. The motion is fluid. You swing your legs over the edge of the low sleeping platform. Your feet find the floor. The stone beneath your soles is cold, solid, and immovable. It grounds you instantly. You are connected to the foundation of the wall. You are connected to the earth. You let your shoulders drop, releasing the tension of the night's stillness. You exhale a long breath, and in the quiet blue light, you see the ghost of it, a faint white mist that hovers before your lips for a heartbeat before dissolving into the room. Now you turn to the bed. This is the first task of the day, the first act of order. You gather the blanket. You do not bunch it or toss it. You handle it with intention. You find the corners. You align the edges. You begin to roll it. Your hands move with a practiced rhythm. Roll, smooth, roll, smooth. The wool compresses under your palms. It is a tactile conversation with the object. You feel the lanolin in the fibers, the density of the weave. You roll it into a tight, perfect cylinder, a bundle of warmth preserved for the night to come. You place it at the head of the platform. It sits there, neat and ready. Next, the small mat. It is a simple square of woven reeds, frayed slightly at the edges but strong. You smooth it out with the flat of your hand. The sound is a dry, rasping whisper. Shh, shh. You fold it, once in half, then in half again. You tuck it neatly beside the blanket. The sleeping space is now clear. The chaos of sleep has been tidied away. The room is returned to its state of readiness. There is a deep satisfaction in this simple geometry: a clean bed, a rolled blanket, a folded mat. It is a way of saying to the room, I am awake, I am ready. You stand, you rise to your full height, your head clearing the low beams of the ceiling. You stretch gently. You reach your arms up, fingertips brushing the shadows above. You feel the stretch in your rib cage, the opening of the lungs. You lean slightly to the left, then to the right, feeling the spine awaken, hearing the small, quiet pops of the vertebrae aligning. You are a pillar of bone and muscle, standing inside a pillar of stone. You lower your arms slowly, feeling the blood return to your fingertips, a tingling warmth that contrasts with the cool air. You walk to the center of the room. The floor is uneven, worn smooth by generations of boots before yours. You know every dip and rise. You do not need to look down. You trust the stone. You stop and stand still. You close your eyes again for just a moment. You listen to the silence of the chamber. It is a dense silence, protected by thick walls. But faint, very faint, you can hear the world outside beginning to stir. The wind is singing a low note against the corner of the tower. A bird calls out far away in the valley, a lonely, piercing cry that emphasizes the vastness of the landscape. You breathe in deeply. You fill your lungs with the stone-scented air. It tastes of granite and frost. It tastes of time. You hold the breath for a second, letting the oxygen flood your blood, waking the mind, sharpening the senses. You exhale slowly, pushing the air out through pursed lips. The sound of your own breath is the loudest thing in the room. It is the engine of your life, starting up for another cycle of the sun. You reach for your cloak, hanging on a wooden peg by the door. The wood of the peg is polished and dark. You lift the cloak. It is heavy, gray, darker than the morning sky. You swing it around your shoulders. The fabric settles with a soft thud of weight. You fasten the clasp at your throat, a simple iron toggle that clicks into place. The cloak encloses you. It traps a layer of warm air against your body. It is your shell. It is your home that you carry with you. You look around the room one last time. The blue light has brightened slightly, turning to a pale steel gray. The dust motes are beginning to dance in the shaft of light. Everything is in its place. The room is peaceful. The day awaits. You are calm. You are steady. You are the watcher on the wall. And your watch begins not with a shout, but with this quiet, deliberate rising. You step toward the door. The wooden planks of the door frame are thick and rough. You place your hand on the cold iron handle. You pause. You take one last breath of the chamber's stillness, and then you prepare to step out.
You pull the heavy wooden door of your chamber closed behind you. It settles into its frame with a dull, solid thud that seals away the warmth of the sleeping space. You are now in the corridor. It is a narrow passage, a tunnel carved through the spine of the wall itself. The air here is different. It is not the still, settled air of the room. It is moving air, a draft that travels through the length of the fortifications
like a slow, cold breath. It carries the scent of damp mortar and the mineral tang of the mountain rock. It is the scent of the earth's bones. You turn to your left, facing the gentle upward slope of the passage. The light here is dim, filtering in from the archway far ahead, painting the stone floor in shades of charcoal and slate. You take your first step. Your boot meets the stone. Clomp. The sound is muffled, absorbed by the density of the walls, but it echoes briefly, a short, sharp report that announces your presence to the stones. You take another step, and another. You fall into the rhythm immediately. It is a cadence your body knows better than it knows the beat of your own heart. It is a slow, measured walk. You do not hurry. The wall stretches for thousands of miles. There is no point in rushing. The wall has stood for centuries. It does not measure time in minutes. Your pace reflects this endurance. You place your weight deliberately, feeling the leather of your sole grip the uneven texture of the paving stones. Some stones are smooth, polished by the passage of a million steps before yours. Others are rough, pitted by the frost and the salt of the rain. You feel these differences through your boots, reading the floor like braille. You walk toward the light. The corridor is a throat of stone, and you are moving toward the mouth. As you approach the archway, the blue light of the dawn intensifies. It becomes brighter, colder, sharper. You reach the threshold. The ceiling lifts away. The walls widen. You step out from under the heavy masonry and into the open air. The world opens up. It takes your breath away, not with surprise, but with its sheer, quiet magnitude. You are standing on the wide top of the wall, paved road that rides the ridge of the mountains like a gray ribbon. To your left and to your right, the wall snakes away into the mist, rising and falling with the contours of the land, vanishing into the blue distance. It looks like a sleeping dragon, its scales made of brick and granite, resting eternally on the peaks. You stand there for a moment, letting the vastness enter your eyes. The sky is a huge inverted bowl of pale indigo, lightening to a soft, bruised purple at the eastern horizon. There are no clouds yet, just a haze that softens the line between the earth and the heavens. Below you, the mountain falls away into deep shadowed valleys, filled with a sea of white mist. The tops of the lower hills poke through the mist like islands in a ghostly ocean. It is silent, but it is a massive silence, a silence that spans horizons. You begin to walk along the rampart. The wind is stronger here. It combs over the crenellations, the toothed upper edge of the wall, with a low whistling sound. Shh! It tugs at the hem of your cloak, flapping the heavy fabric against your legs. It presses against your face, cool and insistent. You lean into it slightly. It wakes you further. It feels like the hand of the sky brushing against you. You walk close to the edge. You run your hand along the rough stone of the parapet. The stone is cold, retaining the chill of the deep night. It is damp with dew. You feel the moisture on your palm, a thin, slick film. You trace the shape of the bricks, rectangular, solid, enduring. You think of the hands that placed them here, one by one, a labor of years that has outlasted the names of the builders. You are not just guarding a wall, you are walking on history. You are walking on the solidified effort of the past. You continue your patrol. Step, step, step. The sound of your boots is lost in the open air, carried away by the wind. You feel small here, a tiny speck on a great monument, but you do not feel insignificant. You feel essential. You are the consciousness of the wall. Without you, it is just stone. With you, it is a living thing, watching, breathing, aware. You pause at a watch point, a small widening in the wall where a turret rises. You stop moving. You plant your feet wide, grounding yourself against the wind. You become a statue. You listen. Far below, miles down in the valley, you hear the river. It is a faint, continuous rushing sound, like white noise. It is the sound of water carving rock, a process even slower than the walls decayed. It soothes you. It reminds you that everything flows, everything changes, even as it stays the same. Then a sound cuts through the wash of the wind and water. A crow launches itself from a pine tree growing out of a crack in the cliff face. You watch it rise. It is a black smudge against the blue morning. It circles once, twice, riding the updrafts and then dives into the mist. It is the only other living thing you see. It is a companion in solitude. And then, fainter still, from a village hidden deep in the folds of the hills, a bell rings. It is barely a vibration in the air. A temple bell, or perhaps a village signal calling farmers to the early fields. It is a human sound. It reminds you that there are people sleeping and waking down there, warm in their houses, protected by the height on which you stand. You listen until the note is completely gone, swallowed by the wind. The silence rushes back in to fill the space where the bell sound used to be. You turn your attention to the flag that stands at the corner of the watchpoint. It is a heavy banner, dyed a deep faded red, mounted on a thick wooden pole. The dampness of the night has made the fabric heavy. It hangs limp against the pole, folded in on itself. You approach it. You reach out with both hands. You take the fabric in your fingers. It is coarse canvas, rough and durable. It feels cold and wet. You gently untangle the fold. You shake it out, a soft, heavy ripple of cloth. You smooth it down. You press your palm against the rough weave of the threads. You check the knot where the flag is tied to the halyard. Your fingers work the rope, tightening the hitch, ensuring it is secure. It is a simple knot, but you tie it with care. It is your knot. The wind catches the fabric you have just freed. The flag lifts, lazily at first, then snaps open with a muffled thump. It ripples in the breeze, a heartbeat of red against the blue sky. You watch it dance. You feel a strange tenderness for this piece of cloth. It stays here in the wind and the rain and the sun, just as you do. It fades and frays, just as you do. You stand back. You place your hands on your hips. You breathe in the morning. The sun is nearing the horizon now. The purple in the east is turning to gold. The light is hitting the tops of the highest peaks, setting them on fire with a cold, brilliant glow. The shadows in the valleys are shrinking. The day is arriving, not with a shout, but with a slow, inevitable tide of light. You are ready for it. Your legs are warm from the walk. Your lungs are clear. Your mind is quiet. You turn away from the sunrise, looking down the long, undulating spine of the wall that stretches out before you. It is a road of stone leading into the sky, and you have the whole day to walk it. One step, then another. The rhythm waits for you.
The sun has fully breached the horizon now, lifting clear of the jagged peaks to the east. The light has shifted from the ethereal blue of dawn to a pale, clean yellow that holds the promise of warmth, but not yet the heat. The shadows stretching from the crenellations are long and sharp, painting stripes of darkness across the gray paving stones. You have finished your first patrol, your legs are awake, and the rhythm of the walk has settled into your bones. Now the day shifts from movement to maintenance. It is time for the small, invisible work that keeps the wall a home. You stop at a small alcove built into the inner parapet, a sheltered nook where tools are kept. You reach in and retrieve a short-handled broom. It is a humble object, made of stiff, dried twigs bound tightly with hemp cord. The wood of the handle is polished smooth by the grip of 1,000 hands before yours. It feels warm and solid. You step back out onto the main walkway, finding a patch of stone where the wind has deposited a drift of fine mountain dust and dried leaves. You begin to sweep. The sound is dry and rhythmic. It is the sound of nature being gently ordered. You do not sweep with haste. There is no sergeant watching, no inspection to pass. You sweep because the stone deserves to be clean. You sweep because it clears your mind. You bend at the waist, your back straight, moving the broom in slow, deliberate arcs from left to right. You watch the bristles scratch against the granite. They catch the dust, pushing it forward in a growing wave of gray. You watch the dust motes rise in the low sunlight, swirling in the air like microscopic gold dust before settling again. You focus entirely on the movement. Push, lift, return. It is a dance. You are clearing the path not just for yourself, but for the wind, for the light, for the memory of the soldiers who walked here long ago. You clear a square of stone, revealing the true color of the rock beneath, a deep speckled gray that looks suddenly bright against the dusty surroundings. The visual contrast is satisfying. It is a small patch of perfection in a rugged world. You sweep the debris to the drainage scupper and brush it through. You watch the dust fall away into the void below, returning to the mountain from which it came. You straighten up and replace the broom. As you turn, your boot scuffs against something loose. You look down. A few pebbles have worked themselves free from the mortar or have been dropped by a passing bird. They lie on the flat paving stone, small disruptions in the smooth surface. To another, they would be invisible. To you, they are distinct. You kneel. The stone is cold against your knee through the fabric of your trousers. You reach out with a gloved hand, then decide to pull the glove off. You want to feel the stone. You touch the first pebble. It is sharp, a chip of flint, jagged and dark. You pick it up. It presses into the pad of your thumb. You pick up another. This one is round, a piece of river rock that must have been carried up here by a crow. It is smooth and cool. You do not throw them over the side. Instead, you reach for a small leather pouch hanging at your belt. It is your collection of displaced things. You open the drawstring. You drop the pebbles inside. Click, clack. The sound of stone hitting stone is hollow and muted by the leather. It is a sound of gathering. You stand up, feeling the slight, negligible weight of the stones at your hip. It is a grounding weight. It reminds you that the wall is made of millions of these small pieces. By caring for the small ones, you honor the whole. You continue walking, your eyes scanning the details of the masonry. You stop at a particular block of stone near the waist-high wall of the parapet. It looks like all the others, but to you, it is a landmark. Years ago, perhaps decades ago, someone carved a small mark into it, a circle with a line through it, or perhaps a rough character meaning home or wait. Time has weathered the edges, softening the carving until it is barely a shadow in the rock. You approach it. You place your hand on the sun-warmed top of the wall. You extend your thumb. You press it into the worn groove of the carving. It fits perfectly. How many times have you done this? How many times did the carver do this? It is a handshake across time. You feel the texture of the groove, the roughness of the chisel marks that have been smoothed by the wind. You stand there for a moment, simply touching the stone. You do not try to imagine the carver's face or his name. You simply acknowledge his presence. He stood here. He watched the same valley. He felt the same wind. You are sharing this watch with him. It makes the solitude feel less empty. It fills the silence with a quiet companionship. You rub your thumb over the mark one last time, a gesture of affection, and let your hand fall back to your side. The sun is climbing higher now, and with the light comes a thirst. It is not a desperate thirst, but a dry, dusty reminder that the air up here is thin. You move to the water station, a large ceramic jar kept in the shadow of the watchtower, covered with a heavy wooden lid to keep the water cool. You unhook your personal water skin from your shoulder. It is made of treated leather, dark and supple, shaped like a teardrop. It is light now, nearly empty. You uncork it. You lift the heavy wooden lid of the jar. The smell of damp clay and fresh water rises up, a smell of life. You take a ladle made of gourd. You dip it into the dark water. It breaks the surface with a soft bloop. You lift it out, dripping. The water catches the light, sparkling like liquid diamond. You pour it carefully into the narrow neck of your flask. The sound is musical. It changes pitch as the flask fills, rising from a deep, hollow bass to a high, tight note. You focus intently on the stream of water. You do not spill a drop. To spill water here, so high above the river, would be a waste of the effort it took to bring it up. You fill the flask until it is heavy in your hand. You stop. You pour the remaining drops from the ladle back into the jar. Splash. You replace the lid. You cork your flask. You hold the flask in both hands for a moment. You feel the coldness of the water radiating through the leather. It cools your palms. You appreciate the weight of it. It is a dense, shifting weight. It sloshes gently as you move. Swish, swish. It is the sound of sustenance. You lift the flask to your face, pressing the cool leather against your cheek for a second, greeting the cold. Then you take a drink. You tilt your head back. The water rushes into your mouth, shocking and sweet. It washes down your throat, cooling your chest, settling into your stomach. You can feel the path of the water inside you. You lower the flask. You wipe your mouth with the back of your hand. You let out a soft exhale of satisfaction. You reattach the flask to your shoulder strap. It hangs there, a reassuring weight against your ribs. You are fed. You are watered. You have swept the dust. You have gathered the stones. You have greeted the memory in the rock. These tasks are simple. They are repetitive, but they are not empty. They are the beads on the string of your day. Each one anchors you to the present moment. You do not worry about the miles of wall ahead or the years of watch behind. You only care about this clean patch of stone, this cool sip of water, this moment of quiet competence. You turn back to the view. The mist has burned off the valley floor. The green of the pines is vivid and sharp. The world is wide and awake. And you are ready to simply stand and watch it. One step, then another. The rhythm waits for you.
The morning moves forward, not with the ticking of a clock, but with the slow, steady arc of the sun. It climbs higher, burning away the last of the blue shadows, revealing the world in absolute clarity. The air has lost its biting chill and settled into a crisp, comfortable neutrality. You step away from the open walkway and move into the shadow of the watchtower's overhang. Here, the stone is thick and cool. You approach one of the embrasures, the narrow, rectangular slits cut into the granite, designed for arrows, but now used only for sight. You lean into the opening. The stone frame presses against your shoulder, solid and unyielding. You place your hands on the rough ledge, feeling the grit of the mortar. You frame the world with the stone. This slit is your lens. It narrows the vastness of the horizon down to a manageable strip of existence. It focuses your attention like a beam of light. You look out. Below you, the land falls away in steep, dramatic folds. But where the mountain meets the valley floor, the wildness has been tamed. You see the terraced fields, They look like giant green steps carved into the earth by a god's thumb. They contour around the hills, following the natural curves of the land with a liquid grace. From this height, you cannot see the individual stalks of grain or the leaves of the crops. You see only texture. It is a quilt of emerald and jade, stitched together by low stone walls. You watch the fields for a long time. You look for movement, but there is none. The farmers are hidden in the green, or perhaps resting in the shade. The fields are still. They drink the sun. You imagine the heat down there, trapped in the valley, humid and rich with the smell of soil. Up here, the air is thin and dry. You feel a distant kinship with the earth below. You guard the silence so the grain can grow. Your gaze travels further, tracing the line of a distant road. It is a pale, dusty thread that winds through the valley, appearing and disappearing behind clumps of trees. It is empty today. No carts kick up dust, no horses trot along its hard-packed surface. It is just a line waiting for a traveler. You trace its path with your eyes, following it until it vanishes into the haze of the far horizon. You wonder, briefly and without urgency, where it goes. To a city of bells and silk? To the ocean? It does not matter. You are the anchor. The road is the journey. You stay so the road can go. Then a movement catches your eye. It is not on the ground, but in the air. A hawk. It is floating in the space between you and the valley floor. It is a master of the air. You watch it circle. It does not flap its wings. It simply adjusts the angle of its feathers, catching the invisible thermals rising from the warming rocks. It turns in a slow, lazy spiral, round and round. It is searching, but it does not seem anxious. It seems perfectly at ease in the void. You follow the motion with soft eyes, a way of looking that does not stare, but absorbs. You let your head turn slowly, mimicking the bird's flight. Your neck moves on smooth bearings. You feel a phantom sensation of flight in your own chest, a lightness, as if the wind holding the bird is also holding you. The hawk dips a wing and slides sideways, dropping 100 feet in a second, silent and controlled. You exhale as it drops, a breath of appreciation for such perfect grace. It rises again, finding a new current, and drifts away to the east, becoming a speck, then a memory. You bring your attention back. You pull your gaze in from the miles-distant horizon to the inches-distant stone right in front of your face. You look at the wall itself. You notice the lichen growing on the side of the embrasure. It is a life form as slow as the stone. It paints the gray rock in splashes of burnt orange, pale lime, and crusty black. You look closely at a patch of the orange lichen. It looks like a map of a fantastical continent, with tiny ridges and valleys, microscopic forests of fungal bloom. It is brittle and dry. You reach out a finger and touch it lightly. It feels rough, like sandpaper. It is warm from the sun. You notice a thin, dark line running down the center of a block, a tiny rivulet where rain has dripped for 100 years, staining the granite with iron and mineral. It is a shadow that never moves. You notice the way the mortar between the bricks has crumbled in places, creating tiny caves where a spider might hide. You peer into one of these crevices. It is dark and deep. It is a secret world inside the wall. You look up at the sky above the tower. The clouds are forming now. They are small, white cumulus puffs, drifting lazily from west to east. They are not the heavy storm clouds of winter. They are the decorative clouds of a fair day. They change shape as they move. One looks like a ship. Then it stretches out and becomes a fish. Then it dissolves into a wisp of white smoke. You play this game of shapes for a moment, letting your imagination drift with the vapor. It is a child's game, played by a guardian of stone. it lightens the heart. The silence of the mid-morning is profound. The wind has died down to a whisper. The birds have settled. The world is holding its breath. In this silence, you feel a vibration in your own chest, a need to make a sound, to prove that you are here, to add a human note to the vast symphony of rock and sky. You take a breath. You keep your mouth closed. You let the air hum against your vocal cords. It is a low, wordless tune, just a single note, held steady. It resonates in your throat. It vibrates against the roof of your mouth. It sounds loud inside your head, but outside it is a tiny sound, barely reaching the edge of the parapet. You change the pitch slightly, going up an interval, then back down. It is not a song you learned. It is a song you are finding right now. It is a song for the hawk, a song for the lichen, a song for the empty road. The sound comforts you. It vibrates the sternum, loosening the muscles of the chest. It creates a small bubble of warmth around you. You hum for a minute, maybe two. You lose track of time. You are just a vibration in the stone. Then you let the note fade. You let the breath run out. Silence returns, but it feels different now. It feels filled. You have spoken to the silence, and the silence has accepted your song. You lean your forehead against the cool stone of the embrasure for just a second, a gesture of intimacy with the wall. You close your eyes and see the afterimage of the hawk, the green fields, the orange lichen. You are alone, but you are connected to everything. To the sky by the bird, to the earth by the fields, to the wall by your touch, to yourself by your song. You push yourself gently off the wall. You stand straight again. You are ready to continue.
The humming fades into the vastness of the mid-morning air, leaving a quiet that feels deeper and more personal than before. You turn away from the embrasure, stepping back from the grand view of the valley and the sky. You seek a more intimate space now, a corner of the wall where the stone cuts inward, creating a small pocket of shadow protected from the wind. You find a seat on a low stone ledge, worn smooth by the resting bodies of guards who came decades before you. You sit, leaning your back against the solid masonry. The stone is cool against your spine, a grounding presence. You reach into the deep fold of your left sleeve. Your fingers brush against the rough wool of your tunic, seeking something specific, something small. You find it. It is not a weapon nor a tool, but a talisman of a different sort. You withdraw it slowly into the light. It is a small square of paper, or perhaps a piece of fine cloth stiffened with age. It is folded tightly, worn at the corners to a soft fuzz. The color has mellowed from white to a warm, creamy parchment tone, stained faintly by the boils of your skin and the dust of the wall. It looks fragile in your weathered hand, like a dried moth wing that might crumble if held too tightly. But you do not hold it tightly. You cup it in your palm, shielding it from the breeze, treating it with the reverence due a holy relic. You begin to unfold it. Rustle. The sound is tiny, a dry, crisp whisper that is barely audible over the wind. You lift the first corner. The paper resists slightly, holding the shape of the fold it has kept for months. You press it flat. You lift the second corner. The square grows larger. You smooth the creases with the pad of your thumb, tracing the lines where the paper has been bent back and forth 1,000 times. These creases are like the lines in a palm, a map of how often this memory has been visited. Finally, the note lies open in your hand. You look at the ink. It is black, but fading now to a deep charcoal gray.
The characters are written with a brush that moved with grace and speed. You do not need to read the words to know what they say. You know the shape of them. You know the flow of the strokes, the sharp intake of the start, the sweeping curve of the middle, the trailing fade of the end. You are reading the memory more than the text. You trace the first character with your fingertip. It feels no different from the rest of the paper, yet your mind feels the texture of the voice that wrote it. It speaks of a season different from this one, perhaps the heavy, humid heat of the South, or the wet, green smell of a rice paddy in rain. It speaks of a specific day, a specific hour that no longer exists anywhere but on this page and in your mind. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the paper rest on your knee. The image rises up. It is not a dramatic memory, it is a quiet one. A view of a courtyard in late afternoon, the sound of water dripping into a stone basin, the smell of tea brewing, the sound of a voice, soft, familiar, laughing at a small joke. It is a memory of peace. It is a memory of a time when you were not a watcher on a wall, but simply a person in a garden. This memory does not bring pain, it brings a sense of continuity. It reminds you that the world is larger than the stone corridor and the northern wind. It reminds you that there is warmth elsewhere and that you are connected to it by this thin, fragile cord of ink. You are not abandoned here, you are extended here. You are the far reach of that memory. You open your eyes and look at the paper again. You notice a small smudge near the bottom edge, a place where perhaps a drop of tea fell or a thumb pressed too hard while the ink was wet. You smile faintly. These imperfections make it real. They prove that it was held by living hands. You lift the paper closer to your face. You inhale. It still holds a scent, faint and ghostly. It smells of dried ink, a sharp pine soot smell. It smells of the box where it was kept before it came to you, a smell of cedar or sandalwood. And beneath that, faint as a whisper, the smell of earth. Not the dry, rocky earth of the wall, but rich, loamy soil. The smell of home. You breathe it in, deep into your lungs, letting the scent settle in your chest. It warms you more than the sun. The wind picks up slightly, lifting the edge of the paper. It flutters against your hand, trying to fly away. You catch it. You hold it down gently. It is time to put it away. You cannot keep the past open forever. It must be protected. You begin the refolding. You follow the original lines. The paper folds back into itself willingly. It knows this shape. It collapses from a flat sheet back into a small, dense packet. You press the final fold down, sealing the words inside. You run your finger along the edge one last time, a gesture of closure. You hold the folded packet in your closed fist for a second, feeling its corners press against your palm. It is small, but it is heavy with meaning. It is a portable hearth you carry with you. You reach back into your sleeve, or perhaps into a small leather pouch worn close to your body, under the cloak. You slip the note inside. You feel it slide into its resting place. You pat the fabric over it. It is safe. It is hidden. It is there if you need it again. But for now, it sleeps. You sit for a moment longer on the ledge, letting the emotion of the memory settle. You feel lighter. The solitude of the wall feels less absolute. The silence feels less empty. You have visited home without moving your feet. You look out at the sky. The clouds have shifted. The light has changed. The day is moving on. You place your hands on your knees. You feel the rough fabric of your trousers, the solid bone of your legs. You are back in the present. You are back on the wall, but the scent of the ink lingers in your nose, a ghost of sweetness in the cold mountain air. You take a deep breath, releasing the memory, keeping the calm. You stand up. The stone scrapes softly under your boots. You adjust your cloak. You turn back to the corridor. The patrol continues, but you walk with a renewed quietness, carrying your treasure safe against your ribs. The sun has climbed to the very roof of the sky. It hangs there, a disk of polished brass, pouring its energy down upon the spine of the mountain. The morning's gentle blue and cool gray have been burned away, replaced by a blinding high-contrast white and gold. The world is fully awake. The shadows, which stretched so long and dramatic at dawn, have retracted. They hide now beneath the overhangs of the towers and tight against the northern face of the wall. Everywhere else is light. You feel the change through the soles of your boots. The stone, which started the day with the memory of ice, has absorbed the sun. It radiates a gentle, dry heat that travels up through leather and wool, warming the bones of your feet. The wall has become a massive battery, storing the fire of the day. You can smell the change, too. The damp, mineral scent of the morning is gone, replaced by the smell of hot dust, dry pine resin from the valleys below, and the baked warmth of ancient granite. It is a dry, clean smell, the scent of a desert in the sky. You have been walking for hours, a slow, steady pendulum swinging between the watchtowers. Now the rhythm of the day calls for a pause. The heat invites a slower pulse. You find a spot near a sheltered curve in the parapet, a place where a jutting block of masonry offers a slice of shade, but where the stone ledge is bathed in sunlight. It is the perfect balance: cool air on your back, warm light on your face. You sit. The motion is heavy and satisfying. You let your legs sprawl out slightly, releasing the tension of the march. You lean your head back against the wall. The stone behind you is cool, preserved by the shadow, while the sun presses against your eyelids, turning your vision into a warm reddish-orange haze. You close your eyes fully. You simply exist in the warmth. You feel the sun touching your forehead, your cheekbones, the bridge of your nose. It feels like a heavy, warm hand resting on your face, smoothing away the furrow of concentration. You reach for the small flask at your hip, or perhaps a different vessel kept for this hour, a small insulated container wrapped in thick felt or fur to keep its contents warm. You unstopper it. A wisp of steam escapes, dancing briefly in the bright air before vanishing. It carries a scent that cuts through the dusty heat, the earthy, roasted smell of tea. It is a dark, fermented tea, strong and grounding. You take out a small cup. It is rough ceramic, glazed in a dark, mottled brown that mimics the earth. It sits in your palm, heavy and round. You pour the tea. The sound is rich and thick. The liquid fills the cup, swirling with dark amber depth. You set the flask down and hold the cup with both hands. This is the best moment. The heat of the tea transfers instantly through the clay and into your palms. It is an intense, focused warmth that seems to bypass the skin and go straight to the center of your body. You hold it there, just feeling it. Your hands, weathered and roughened by the wind, soften in the heat. The stiffness in your fingers melts away. You lift the cup to your nose. You inhale the steam. It opens your sinuses. It smells of wet wood and autumn leaves. It smells of a fire in a distant hearth. It is a smell of civilization, a reminder that even here, on the edge of the wild, there is culture and comfort. You tilt the cup. You listen to the tiny, microscopic sound of the liquid shifting against the rim. Slosh, click. You bring it to your lips. You take a sip. The tea is hot, bordering on scalding, but it is exactly what you need. It wakes the mouth. It flows over the tongue, bitter and sweet at the same time. You swallow. You feel the heat travel down your throat, a slow, burning line of comfort that settles in your stomach. It radiates outward from your core. It makes you feel solid. It makes you feel real. You take another sip, and another. You do not rush. You let the liquid sit in your mouth for a moment, savoring the flavor. You look out over the parapet as you drink. The heat has created a shimmer in the air. The distant mountains ripple slightly, as if seen through water. The horizon is hazy, a blur of blue and white. The world feels dreamlike in this midday glare. The silence is different now, too. The birds are quiet, resting in the shade of the trees. The wind has dropped to a mere breath. The only sound is the buzzing of a solitary fly near the stone and the slow, rhythmic thud of your own heart. You hold the empty cup in your hands for a long time, unwilling to let go of the residual warmth. You run your thumb over the rim, feeling the imperfection in the glaze, a tiny bump that your finger knows by heart. You turn the cup in the sunlight, watching the way the glaze catches the light, dull and waxy like a polished stone. You feel a profound sense of sufficiency. You have shade, you have sun, you have tea, you have the wall. There is nothing else you need. The complex worries of the world down below, the politics, the markets, the noise, cannot reach you here. You are above them. You are suspended in a capsule of light and stone. You take a deep breath. The air is hot and dry in your lungs. You exhale slowly. You feel your body getting heavier. The stone ledge seems to rise up to meet you. Your muscles loosen. Your jaw relaxes. The alertness of the sentry softens into the contemplation of the monk. You are not sleeping, but you are resting deep. You are recharging. You are soaking up the sun like the lizards that doze in the cracks of the wall. You are part of the landscape. If someone were to look up from the valley, they would see only the wall. They would not see the small figure sitting in the shadow, holding a cup, breathing with the mountain. You are invisible. You are peaceful. You tip the last drop of tea onto the stone, a tiny offering to the heat. It sizzles for a microsecond and evaporates, leaving a faint dark stain that vanishes as you watch. Gone, returned to the air. You wipe the cup with a small cloth. You wrap it up. You stow it away. You cap the flask. The ritual of the midday tea is finished. You sit for 1 minute more, memorizing the feeling of the sun on your face, storing it against the cold that will come with the night. Then you place your hands on your knees. You push yourself up. You stand. The world tilts for a second, then rights itself. You are steady. You are warm. You step back out into the center of the walkway, into the full light, ready to walk the afternoon into evening.
The sun has begun its slow descent from the high throne of noon. The light remains bright, but the harsh, bleaching intensity of the midday glare has softened just enough to give the world its color back. The mountains are no longer silhouettes of white fire. They are regaining their deep blues and greens. You are walking a section of the wall that overlooks a narrow, winding pass, a natural vein in the rock where the road from the north meets the road from the south. It is a place of transit, a place where people pass through, though you rarely see them. You see only the dust they leave behind, or the tracks of their carts in the dried mud. You slow your pace. You are approaching a specific waypoint, a small, recessed niche built into the outer face of the parapet. It is not a defensive position, it is a courtesy. It is a station of the little aid. In the vast, indifferent scale of the mountains, these small gestures of human care are the only things that make the landscape bearable. You stop. You swing your pack around to your front. You undo the toggle. You reach inside. Your hand finds a small bundle prepared earlier, perhaps in the quiet of the morning or the night before. It is not much, a humble offering. It is a dense roll of oat bread, or perhaps a handful of dried apricots, or a small packet of salt. It is wrapped in a square of clean, unbleached cotton. The cloth is cool and dry. You hold the bundle in your hands for a moment, weighing it. It is light, yet it carries a heavy significance. It is a gift for a stranger. You will never see the face of the person who takes it. They will never know your name. There is a purity in this transaction that pleases you. It is kindness without the complication of gratitude. You step into the alcove. It is shadowed and cool, protected from the biting wind and the scorching sun. A flat stone slab serves as a shelf. You brush it clean with your gloved hand. Swish, swish. You clear away the dust of the last few days. You place the bundle on the stone. You do not just drop it. You set it down with precision. You adjust the corners of the cloth, pulling them tight so the wind will not unravel the knot. You smooth the fabric over the contents, patting it gently to ensure it is secure. Pat, pat. The sound is soft, domestic, out of place in this fortress of stone, but all the more beautiful for it. You look around for a marker. The bundle alone might be missed or mistaken for refuse. It needs a sign. You scan the ground near your feet. You are looking for a stone of a specific shape, round, white, distinct. You find one near the base of the wall, a piece of quartz that catches the light. You pick it up. It is cold and hard, a contrast to the soft bundle. You place the stone beside the cloth. You set it upright. This is the language of the road. A white stone beside a bundle means this is for you. Take it in health. You step back. You examine your work. The gray stone niche, the white cotton bundle, the gleaming white stone. It is a still life of charity. It looks peaceful. It looks intentional. You imagine the traveler who might find it, a weary merchant leading a lame horse, a messenger running on empty lungs, a shepherd searching for a lost ewe. You imagine their pause, the moment of discovery, the realization that they are not alone in the wilderness, the taste of the bread, the feeling of being watched over, not by a guard, but by a friend. You feel a warmth in your chest that has nothing to do with the sun. It is the warmth of connection. In this empty place, you have created a link. You have spun a thread of care across the void. You look down at the road far below. It is empty now, a ribbon of pale brown dirt twisting through the rocks. But the road is patient. It waits for feet. You give a small nod to the empty air. It is a gesture of respect to the traveler who is yet to come. Safe journey, you think. Walk well. You turn away from the niche. You leave the offering behind. You do not look back. To look back would be to claim ownership, and the gift no longer belongs to you. It belongs to the road. You resume your walk. Your pack is lighter now, by only a few ounces, but your step feels significantly lighter. Clump, clump, clump. The rhythm returns, steady and familiar. You move along the wall, your shadow stretching slightly longer ahead of you as the afternoon progresses. You are conscious of the wind again. It seems to whisper through the crenellations with a softer voice now. Shh, shh. It flows over the bundle you left behind, cooling the stone, keeping the bread fresh. You feel the wind on your own face, drying the faint perspiration of the midday heat. You pass another tower. You nod to the sentry posted there, a stone gargoyle carved centuries ago, its face worn smooth with time. It watches the north. You watch the south. You are partners. You reach out and touch the stone flank of the beast as you pass. It is warm. The act of giving has shifted your focus. You are no longer just patrolling a barrier.
You are tending a garden of stone. You look for other things to do. You see a loose shutter on a window. You make a mental note to fix it later. You see a bird's nest tucked into a crack. You give it a wide berth so as not to disturb the occupants. You are the custodian of the wall's small lives. The cadence of your walk slows down even more. There is no hurry. The sun is moving at its own pace, and you are moving with it. You breathe in the afternoon air. It smells of heated pine resin rising from the forests below. It is a sweet, sharp smell, the incense of the mountain afternoon. You feel the texture of the wall under your feet changes slightly. You have reached a section paved with older, larger stones. They are uneven, rounded by centuries of wear. Your feet adjust automatically. Your ankles are strong. Your balance is perfect. You flow over the uneven ground like water. You are alone, but you are not lonely. The bundle back in the alcove is your companion. The thought of it sitting there, waiting, gives the afternoon a focal point. You have done your good deed. You have paid your rent to the universe. You stop for a brief second to adjust your boot. You lift your foot to a low stone. You tighten the lace. You pull the leather taut. Creak, snap. You tie the knot. You stamp your foot once to settle it. Thud. You are secure. You straighten up. You look at the horizon. The light is turning gold. The blue of the sky is deepening. The day is beginning its slow slide toward evening. But there is still time. There is still light. There is still the walk. You take a deep breath, filling your lungs with the golden air. You exhale, letting the breath carry away any lingering stiffness. You are fluid. You are steady. You step forward, one foot, then the other. The wall stretches out before you, endless and welcoming. You walk on, a guardian of the stone, a friend to the unseen traveler, a quiet presence in the high air.
The day has matured. The sharp, vertical brightness of noon has melted away, replaced by the rich, angled light of the late afternoon. The sun has moved past the zenith and is beginning its long, slow slide toward the western peaks. The quality of the light has changed completely. It is no longer white. It is a deep, viscous gold. It pours over the wall like warm honey, coating the gray stones in a layer of amber radiance. It softens the edges of the world. The jagged peaks of the distant mountains look rounder, fuzzier, as if the air itself has become thicker. You walk through this golden atmosphere with a quiet mind. The urgency of the day's tasks has evaporated. The sweeping is done. The inspection is done. The offering has been left. Now there is only the waiting. It is the time of day when the wall seems to sigh, releasing the heat it has held for hours, preparing for the cool of the evening. You find a place to stop. It is a recessed corner where the wall turns inward to follow the curve of a cliff. Here, the stone forms a natural high-backed chair, shielded from the wind, but open to the sun. It is a favorite spot, a place where the acoustics of the mountain create a pocket of absolute silence. You turn your back to the view. You lower yourself down. Shift, settle, rest. You sit with your legs crossed or extended, whichever is most comfortable. You lean back. Your spine meets the stone. The sensation is immediate and grounding. The rock is solid, immovable, and cool. Even though the sun has warmed the surface, the heart of the stone remains cold, retaining the memory of the mountain's core. You feel this coolness seep through your cloak, through your tunic, and into your back. It acts as a splint, straightening you, supporting you. You do not need to hold yourself up. The wall holds you. You adjust your position, shifting your hips until you are perfectly balanced. You let your head tip back until it rests against the masonry. You close your eyes. With your eyes closed, the world transforms. The visual distractions vanish. The endless horizon, the dizzying drop, the texture of the clouds, all gone. You are left with the internal world and the sensation of light. The sun is still hitting your face, but through your closed eyelids, it is a warm orange-red glow. It is a comforting color, the color of a hearth fire, the color of blood and life. You bathe in it. You let it warm the small muscles around your eyes. You let it smooth the skin of your forehead. Your hands rest on your knees. You become aware of them. They are heavy and relaxed. You feel the rough weave of your trousers under your palms. You feel the warmth of your own body radiating through the fabric. Your fingers curl naturally, holding nothing. There is no weapon to grip, no tool to wield. Your hands are simply resting, dormant and open. In this stillness, your thoughts begin to change. During the march, your mind was on the path, the next step, the loose stone, the distant sound. Now the mind unspools. Thoughts come to you, but they lack weight. They are no longer heavy stones that must be carried. They are like the clouds you watched earlier. Imagine them. A thought appears. Did I secure the gate? You see the thought as a small white wisp of vapor. You do not grab it. You do not analyze it. You simply watch it drift across the sky of your mind. Yes, the gate is fine. The cloud dissolves. Another thought. The winter will be cold. You watch this one too. It is a darker cloud, perhaps, but it is high up and far away. It casts a small shadow, but it does not touch you. You let the wind take it. It drifts to the east and vanishes. You remain the sky. The sky is not bothered by the clouds. It is vast, blue, and empty. It holds the weather, but it is not the weather. You practice this detachment. You are not your worries. You are not your memories. You are the silent observer sitting on the stone. You bring your attention to your breath. You do not try to control it. You simply notice it. Inhale, the chest rises. The air is warm and smells of sun-baked dust and pine. Exhale, the shoulders drop. The body settles deeper into the corner. You begin to synchronize your breathing with the wall. It sounds strange, but you can feel it. The wall has a rhythm. It is a geological rhythm, slow and deep. The stone does not breathe air, but it breathes heat. It absorbs by day and releases by night. It is a cycle that takes 24 hours to complete one breath. You try to match that slowness. You lengthen your exhale. You imagine that your legs are turning to stone, merging with the floor. You imagine your spine is turning to granite, fusing with the wall behind you. You are becoming part of the structure. You are heavy. You are solid. You have stood here for 1,000 years. Storms have beaten against you, and you have not moved. Armies have marched past you, and you have not moved. You are the wall. This visualization brings a profound sense of safety. If you are the wall, nothing can hurt you. The wind cannot blow you away. The cold cannot freeze you. You are too big, too heavy, too old. You sit there for what feels like an hour, though it might only be minutes. The orange glow behind your eyelids begins to soften as the sun dips lower. The heat on your face becomes gentler. The air begins to cool just a fraction. You notice the sound of your own heartbeat. Lub-dub, lub-dub. It is slow and steady. It sounds loud in the quiet air. It is the drumbeat of your life, tapping out a rhythm of peace. You let the sound lull you. It is a lullaby from the inside. A breeze brushes a loose strand of hair across your forehead. It tickles, but you do not brush it away. You let it be. You are too relaxed to move. You accept the sensation. You accept the itch, and you watch it fade away on its own. You are drifting in the space between waking and sleeping. It is a lucid, golden twilight of the mind. You are aware of the bird calling in the distance, a lonely, melodic whistle, but it feels like a sound from another world. Your world is this corner. Your world is this stone. Your world is this breath. You take a deep, shuddering inhale, filling the lungs to capacity, stretching the rib cage one last time. You hold it, and then you let it go in a long, audible sigh. It is the sound of total release. The last tension in the jaw unlocks. The tongue falls away from the roof of the mouth. The hands slide slightly off the knees and rest on the thighs. You are completely loose. You sit for a moment longer, savoring the feeling of having no weight. You are grounded, yet you feel light as air. You have given your weight to the stone, and the stone carries it gladly. Slowly, very slowly, you prepare to return. You do not open your eyes yet. You wiggle your fingers. You feel the fabric again. You shift your weight on the stone. You feel the coolness. You remember where you are. You open your eyes. The light has changed again. The gold is deepening into copper. The shadows are stretching out, long and purple fingers reaching across the valley. The world is beautiful and still. You blink, clearing the haze of rest. You feel refreshed, as if you have slept a full night in these few minutes. You place your hands on the stone beside you. You push down. You rise. You are stiff for a second. Then the blood flows and you are fluid again. You adjust your cloak. You check the horizon. The evening watch is approaching, but you are ready. You carry the stillness of the stone within you. The golden hour has fully arrived. The sun is no longer a distant lamp, but a close companion, hanging low over the western ridges, casting long, dramatic shadows that stretch across the walkway like the hands of a clock. The air is cooling rapidly. The stone, which held the heat of the midday so faithfully, is beginning to surrender it to the evening. You can feel the shift on your skin, a gentle crispness returning to the breeze, a reminder that the night is waiting in the wings. You rise from your resting spot. You do not stand up to march, but to tend. The day's heavy labor is done, but the day's quietest duties remain. This is the hour of small repairs, the time when you attend to the microscopic details of your station. It is not a chore, it is a kindness. It is a way of thanking the structure that protects you. You move slowly along the parapet until you reach a heavy wooden gate, a small postern door set into the thickness of the wall. It is rarely used, but it must always be ready. You inspect the heavy rope lashings that secure the crossbar. You notice a section where the hemp rope has begun to fray. The wind and the friction of the wood have teased the fibers apart, creating a fuzzy halo of golden threads around the core of the rope. You stop. You take off your glove. You want the sensitivity of your bare skin for this. You reach out and touch the rope. It is rough and dry, smelling of old straw and tar. You do not need to replace it yet. It still holds strength. It just needs care. You begin to smooth the fibers. You run your palm down the length of the rope, twisting it slightly in the direction of the weave. Twist, smooth, hold. You coax the stray hairs back into alignment. The heat of your hand warms the natural oils in the hemp, making it pliable. You work slowly, inch by inch. There is a meditative quality to the motion. You are braiding order back into chaos. You are telling the rope to hold on for another day, another season. Under your fingers, the fuzzy disorder vanishes, replaced by a sleek, tight twist. It looks strong again. It looks cared for. You turn your attention to the iron hinges of the door. They are massive, hand-forged slabs of metal, black and pitted like the skin of an avocado. They have seen rain, snow, and scorching sun for 100 years. They look thirsty. You reach into your pouch and withdraw a small vessel. It is a tiny clay pot sealed with a cork. You pull the cork. A faint, rich scent drifts up. It is the smell of oil, thick, organic oil, perhaps rendered from walnuts or animal fat, mixed with a touch of clove to keep the pests away. It smells of the earth's blood. It is a dark, viscous liquid. You dip a small rag into the pot. The cloth drinks up the oil, turning a deep, translucent brown. You bring the cloth to the hinge. You touch the metal. The iron accepts the gift instantly. You rub the oil into the surface. Circle, circle, sweep. The dry, matte gray of the oxidized metal transforms under your hand. It turns black. It deepens. It begins to shine. You are not just lubricating a joint. You are feeding the skin of the gate. You work the oil into the crevices, into the places where the pin meets the barrel. You imagine the oil seeping down into the hidden spaces, coating the friction points in a slippery layer of protection. You wipe away a spot of orange rust, watching it dissolve into the dark sheen of the oil. You are erasing the slow decay of time. You are pausing the clock. The motion is silent. There is no clanging or scraping. There is only the soft swish of the rag and the rhythmic movement of your arm. The hinge begins to gleam in the low sunlight. It catches the amber rays and reflects them back as a deep, lustrous bronze. It looks alive now. It looks ready to move silently, without a creak, without a complaint. You cap the oil. You fold the oily rag and tuck it away. You step back to admire the work. The rope is tight. The iron is dark and gleaming. The door looks proud. It is a small thing, a single door and 1,000 miles of wall. But to you, it is the center of the world. By caring for this one part, you care for the whole. You continue your slow circuit. You reach a small niche carved into the stone, a shelf used to store signal flags or dry kindling. You notice that a cloth used for covering the supplies has been disturbed by the wind. It lies in a crumpled heap in the corner of the shelf, looking neglected. You reach in. You pull the cloth out into the light. It is a square of indigo-dyed cotton, faded by the sun to a soft denim blue. You hold it by two corners. You give it a gentle shake. The sound is crisp in the quiet air. Dust flies off it, sparkling in the sunset. You hold it up against the sky, checking for tears. It is whole. You begin to fold it. This is a ceremony of geometry. You bring the corners together. You match the edges perfectly. You smooth the fabric against your chest or thigh. Fold, press. You half its size. Fold, press. You half it again. You turn the chaotic heap into a perfect, sharp-edged square. The fabric feels cool and soft, worn smooth by years of use. It is a comfort to handle. You place it back on the shelf. You do not just toss it, you align it. You set it down so its edges are parallel to the stone. You place a small weight, a clean stone, on top of it to keep the wind from stealing it again. You look at the niche. It was messy. Now it is tidy. It was chaotic. Now it is ordered. The space feels calmer.
The emptiness around the object is as important as the object itself. You have restored the feng shui of the shelf. You wipe your hands on your trousers. You feel a deep, quiet sense of accomplishment. These tasks will not be recorded in any history book. No general will commend you for a smooth rope or a folded cloth, but the wall knows, the stone knows. You look at your hands. They are dirty with the dust of the rope and the sheen of the oil. They are the hands of a caretaker. You flex your fingers. They feel strong and capable. The light is changing rapidly now. The gold is turning to rose. The purple shadows are rising up from the valley floor like a tide, swallowing the lower slopes. The air is turning blue again. The day is ending, but you have left your mark on it. You have left things better than you found them. You stand still for a moment, listening. The wind has dropped. The birds have gone to roost. The silence of the evening is settling in. In this silence, the small sounds of your repairs echo in your memory. The twist of the rope, the swish of the oil, the snap of the cloth. They are the sounds of peace. You take a deep breath, inhaling the cooling air. It smells of the oil you just used, spicy and rich, and the evergreen scent of the coming night. You exhale. You are ready for the dusk. You have tidied the world, and in doing so, you have tidied your mind. You turn back to the walkway. Your step is slow, your heart is light. The wall waits for the night, and you wait with it, a faithful servant of the stone.
The evening is no longer holding its breath. It is exhaling. The long, slow release of light has begun in earnest. The golden hour has deepened into something richer, heavier, and more mysterious. The sky above you is transforming into a vast, inverted ocean. The clear, hard blue of the afternoon has softened into layers of dusty rose, pale lavender, and a deepening indigo that creeps up from the eastern horizon like a rising tide. The sun, once a blinding white eye, has mellowed into a sphere of deep, burning orange, hovering just above the jagged silhouette of the western peaks. You feel the call to go higher. The lower walkway is shadowed now, the twilight settling into the corners and the crenellations. You want to catch the last breath of the light. You turn toward the stairs of the main watchtower. They are steep, narrow steps cut directly into the mountain stone. You place your hand on the rough masonry of the wall as you ascend. Your legs feel heavy, but it is a good heaviness. It is the weight of a day well spent. It is the feeling of muscles that have worked and are now ready to rest. You climb slowly, your boots scraping softly against the stone steps. With each step you rise out of the gathering shadows and back into the thinning light. The air grows cooler with every foot of elevation. It sheds the heat of the valley and takes on the chill of the stars. You reach the upper platform of the tower. It is a small, square space, open to the winds on all four sides. It is the highest point for miles. You are standing on the roof of the world. The wind here is different. It is not the playful breeze of the afternoon. It is the evening wind, steady, persistent, and cool. It flows over the parapet like a river. It catches your cloak, billowing the heavy fabric out behind you. Flap, snap, flutter. It moves through your hair, lifting the strands away from your face, cooling the sweat on your brow. You turn your face into it. It feels cleansing. It feels like the sky is washing you clean of the dust and the heat. You close your eyes for a moment and just lean into the current of the air. You are a stone in a stream, unmoving while the water rushes past. You open your eyes and look west. The sun is touching the mountains now. It is a moment of contact. The burning rim of the star meets the solid black line of the earth.
You watch the collision. The light does not shatter, it melts. The sun seems to lose its shape, spreading out along the horizon line like molten copper being poured into a mold. The clouds above the sunset catch the fire. They burn with colors that have no names, shades of apricot, neon pink, and bruised purple. They look like islands of fire floating in a sea of darkening glass. And then it happens. From far below, from a distance that turns sound into a ghost, a bell rings. It is a single strike. It comes from a temple hidden in the folds of the valley, or perhaps a village miles away. The sound travels up through the layers of the atmosphere, filtered by the mist and the distance. By the time it reaches you, it is stripped of all harshness. It is pure vibration. It is a low, round note that hits you in the chest rather than the ears. You do not just hear it, you feel it. It resonates with the stone under your feet. It resonates with the bones of your skull. It is the voice of the valley saying good night to the mountain. You take a deep breath as the sound arrives. You inhale the note. You imagine the sound filling your lungs, vibrating in your rib cage. You hold the breath, suspending the moment, letting the bell ring inside you. The sound hangs in the air for a long time. It decays slowly, fading from a distinct note into a hum, and then into a memory of a hum. You listen until you are not sure if you are hearing the bell or just the silence it left behind. It is a signal. It tells you that the work of the day is done. The farmers down below are putting down their hoes. The merchants are closing their shutters. The mothers are calling the children in. The world is turning inward. You turn your attention back to the sun. It is sinking fast now. Half of the disk is gone, swallowed by the earth. The light is changing second by second. The orange deepens to red, a dark blood red that stains the sky. The shadows on the wall are no longer purple, they are black. They stretch out to infinity. You watch the last sliver of the sun. It is a thin, glowing arc. You try to catch the green flash, that legendary moment when the atmosphere bends the last ray of light into an emerald spark. You stare without blinking. The arc shrinks. It becomes a line. It becomes a dot. And then, blink. It is gone. The sun has set. The king has left the throne room. But the light does not vanish immediately. This is the time of the afterglow. The sky above the horizon remains luminous, a pale, ghostly band of light that refuses to give up. The mountains are now flat silhouettes, cut-out shapes of black paper pasted against the glowing sky. The detail is gone. There are no trees, no rocks, no paths. There is only the shape of the land. You feel a profound sense of quiet settle over you. The visual noise of the world has been turned down. The colors have been muted. The contrast has been simplified. It is easier to be calm when the world is less complex. You bring your hands together in front of your chest. You do not clasp them tight. You cup them, palm to palm, fingers resting against fingers. It is a gesture of containment. You are gathering your own energy back in. You are closing the circle of yourself. You stand there, a solitary silhouette on the high tower, facing the dying light. You offer a silent gratitude to the sun. Thank you for the warmth. Thank you for the sight. You offer a silent greeting to the night. Welcome, darkness. Welcome, rest. The air grows colder by the minute. You pull your cloak tighter around you. You feel the heavy wool hugging your shoulders. It is your armor against the night. You are warm inside your shell. The first star appears. It is high up, directly overhead. Vega, perhaps, or Venus. It is a tiny, piercing pinprick of white light. It is sharp and cold. It winks at you. You look at it. You realize that while the sun belongs to the earth, the stars belong to the wall. You are closer to them up here. They are your night watchmen. The silence on the tower is absolute now. The wind has quieted down, respectful of the transition. The bird calls have stopped. The bell has faded. There is only the sound of your own breathing, slow, rhythmic, calm. Inhale, cool night air. Exhale, warm day breath. You look down at the wall stretching away into the dusk. It is a gray river of stone flowing into the darkness. It looks eternal. It looks patient. It has seen 1,000,000 sunsets like this, and it will see 1,000,000 more. You are just a blink in its eye, a brief warmth on its stones. But that does not make you small. It makes you part of something huge. You unfold your hands. You let them hang by your sides. You feel heavy, grounded, and peaceful. Transition is complete. The day is gone. The night has arrived. You are ready to descend from the tower and find the comfort of the dark.
You descend from the high tower, leaving the first stars of the evening to their cold vigil. The stone steps take you down into the shelter of the main walkway, where the shadows have pulled into a thick, comforting darkness. The air here is still, protected by the high battlements from the open wind. You move with the confident, sliding gait of someone who knows the terrain by feel rather than sight. Your boots find the level stones without error. Ahead, in the lee of a buttress, a shape detaches itself from the darkness. It is another figure, wrapped in a cloak identical to yours, a heavy woolen shadow standing watch over the valley. It is your counterpart, your brother in stone. You approach him slowly. There is no challenge, no demand for a password. The rhythm of your walk identifies you long before your face is visible. You stop a few paces away, respecting the personal space that solitude creates. You stand side by side, both looking out into the void of the night. The greeting is minimal. You turn your head slightly. He turns his. In the faint ambient light of the stars, you catch the glint of an eye, the line of a cheekbone. You nod. It is a microscopic movement, a dipping of the chin that says everything that needs to be said. I am here. You are here. The wall stands. He returns the nod. It is a mirror image of your own. The connection is made. The circuit is closed. You stand together in silence. This is not the silence of emptiness. It is the silence of understanding. Words are for the daylight, for orders and reports and news of the world below. Night is for the truth of things, and the truth here is simple: endurance. To speak would be to break the spell of the mountain. It would reduce the vastness of the moment to the smallness of a human voice. So you keep the words inside and let the presence speak for itself. You reach for the flask at your hip. It is still warm from the afternoon, insulated by the heavy leather and the heat of your body. You unhook it. The leather creaks softly, a sound like a cricket in the quiet. You uncork it. You take out the small cup. You pour. The sound of the liquid is a tiny musical trill. You step closer to the other figure. You hold the cup out. You do not thrust it. You offer it. Your hand moves through the dark space between you, a bridge of generosity. He sees the movement. He reaches out. His hand, gloved in worn leather or wrapped in cloth, meets yours. For a brief second, your fingers brush. You feel the solid warmth of another human being. In this landscape of cold stone and ice wind, that heat is shocking and precious. It grounds you. It reminds you that you are not a ghost. You are flesh and blood. He takes the cup. He cradles it in both hands, bringing it close to his chest to catch the warmth. He bows his head slightly, a silent thank you. He lifts it to his lips, You hear the soft intake of breath, the quiet sip, the swallow. You imagine the warmth traveling down his throat, spreading into his chest, fighting back the chill of the watch. He lowers the cup. He holds it for a moment longer, savoring the heat. Then he hands it back. Again, the brush of fingers. Again, the transfer of warmth. The cup returns to you empty of liquid, but full of connection. You pour a measure for yourself. You drink. It tastes better now. It tastes of fellowship. It tastes of the bond that holds the line together. You stow the flask and cup away. You settle back against the stone parapet. The other guard does the same. You are two statues leaning against the history of the world. You begin to listen. The night as a soundscape entirely its own, distinct from the day. It is a landscape of low frequencies. You hear the breathing of the man beside you. It is a slow, rhythmic sound. In, pause, out, pause. It is the sound of a calm heart. It is a metronome that regulates the night. You find your own breath falling into sync with his. You breathe together, two lungs expanding in the thin air, two chests rising against the weight of the wool. It creates a collective rhythm, a shared biology. You're not two separate entities anymore. You are a single unit of watchfulness. You hear a muffled shuffle. He shifts his weight from one foot to the other, relieving a stiff muscle. The sound of his boot on the stone is a dull scuff. It is a human sound. It speaks of the body's limits, of the fatigue that comes to everyone. It makes him real. It makes him vulnerable. And in his vulnerability, you find permission to be tired too. You shift your own weight. You let your own shoulders sag slightly against the wall. You are carrying the weight together. And beneath these human sounds, you hear the wall itself. The stone is cooling. All day it drank the sun, expanding microscopically in the heat. Now, in the chill of the night, it is contracting. It releases the heat in a slow, invisible exhale. Occasionally, deep within the masonry, you hear a faint tick or pop. It is the sound of tension being released. It is the sound of the mountain settling into its bed. You close your eyes and let your other senses take over. You can smell the other guard, not in an unpleasant way, but in a distinct way. He smells of wood smoke, of old wool, of leather oil, and the dry, dusty scent of the barracks. It is the smell of your life. It is the scent of the tribe. It comforts you. It tells you that you are part of a pack. You open your eyes and look up. The sky is now fully dark, a tapestry of crushed velvet pierced by diamonds. The Milky Way is a smear of spilled milk across the zenith. You look at it. He looks at it. You're seeing the exact same thing at the exact same moment. Your minds are touching the same distant star. This shared vision binds you tighter than any conversation could. You feel a sense of profound peace settle over you. The loneliness that sometimes haunts the midwatch is gone. The fear of the empty dark is gone. The presence of the other acts as an anchor. It pins you to the earth. It validates your reality. I see the star, and he sees the star. Therefore, the star is real. There is no need to stay long. The protocol of the guard is fluid. You have shared the water. You have shared the silence. The ritual is done. He pushes himself off the wall. He straightens his cloak. He turns to you. Once again, the eyes catch the starlight. Once again, the nod. This time, it means farewell. Watch well. You return the nod. Walk safe. He turns and moves away, dissolving back into the shadows from which he came. His footsteps fade, clump, clump, until they are gone. You are alone again, but the quality of the solitude has changed. It is no longer empty. It is filled with the memory of the contact. The warmth of his hand is still on your fingers. The sound of his breath is still in your ears. You feel the invisible thread that connects you to him and to the next guard down the line, and the next.
a chain of living souls strung out across the mountaintops, holding hands in the dark. You lean back against the cool stone. You are not just one man on a wall. You are the wall, and the wall is awake.
The patrol is finished. The circuit is complete. You turn away from the vast, starlit emptiness of the parapet and step back into the narrow throat of the corridor. The air changes instantly. The biting wind of the open mountain is cut off, replaced by the still, dense atmosphere of the interior. It is quiet here, a hushed silence that feels thick and protective. You walk down the sloping passage, your boots making a final, soft rhythm on the stones. Clump, clump, clump. It is a slower rhythm now, a cadence of arrival. The wall seems to welcome you back into its core, swallowing you into its safe stone belly. You reach the door of your chamber. You push it open. The darkness inside is total, save for the faint square of moonlight falling through the high slit window. You step inside. You close the door behind you. Thud. The sound is final. The world outside, the wind, the hawk, the distant bell, the endless horizon, is sealed away. There is only this room. There is only this moment. The day is done. You do not rush to collapse. The transition to sleep is as important as the transition to waking. It is a ritual of unwinding. You move to the small corner where you keep your tools. You unhook the pouch from your belt, the one holding the small stones you gathered. You pour them out onto a small tray. Click, clatter. The sound is gentle. You will sort them tomorrow. For now, they are home. You take the small broom you used at dawn. You make one last lazy sweep of the floor near the door, pushing the day's dust out into the shadows. Swish, swish. It is a symbolic gesture. You are clearing the threshold. You are stating that the work is finished. You begin to shed the layers of the watch. You reach for the clasp of your cloak. Your fingers, stiff from the cold, fumble slightly, then find the release. The toggle slips free. The heavy wool slides from your shoulders. As it falls, you feel a physical lightness wash over you. The weight of the weather is gone. The weight of the responsibility is set down. You catch the cloak before it hits the floor. You hold it in your arms. It smells of the wind and the sun. You fold it. You do not ball it up. You fold it with respect. It protected you today. You align the seams. You smooth the fabric. You hang it on its peg. It settles there, a dark shape against the wall, a ghost of your duty, waiting for the morning. You sit on the edge of your sleeping platform. You bend down to your boots. You untie the laces. You work the leather loose. You pull the first boot off. Thump. The relief is instant. Your foot expands, the blood returning to the sole. You pull the other off. Thump. You place them side by side, toes pointing to the door, ready for tomorrow, but not for now. Now your feet are free. You wiggle your toes against the cool stone floor. You feel the texture of the ground without the barrier of leather. It feels real. It feels grounding. You stand up one last time to prepare the bed. You look at the rolled blanket you prepared so carefully at dawn. It has waited for you all day. You reach out and unroll it. It spreads out over the mat, a landscape of gray wool. You smooth it down. You punch the small pillow, perhaps a sack filled with dried buckwheat or grain, creating a hollow for your head. You test the loft with your hand. It is firm and accepting. You reach into your pocket or the small pouch at your waist. You withdraw a token. It is the small personal anchor you keep for the night. Perhaps it is the small white stone you found weeks ago. Perhaps it is a wooden bead carved by your father. Perhaps it is the folded note.
You place it on the stone shelf beside your head. Click. This is your touchstone. It reminds you of who you are when you are not a guard. It is the last thing you touch before you leave the world of the wall. You blow out the small oil lamp if you lit one, or simply turn away from the moonlight. The room becomes a soft, monochromatic gray. You sit on the mattress. You swing your legs up. You lie down. Shift, rustle, settle. Your back meets the bed. The bed meets the stone. The support is absolute. You feel the hardness of the floor beneath the padding, and it is a comfort. It is the mountain holding you up. You do not need to hold yourself anymore. You pull the heavy blanket up over your legs, your waist, your chest. You tuck the edges in around your shoulders, creating a cocoon. The warmth of your own body begins to fill the space immediately. You are safe inside the wool. You stare up at the ceiling. You cannot see the beams in the dark, but you know they are there. You begin the final release. You scan your body for any lingering vigilance. Your eyes, are they still searching the horizon? You let them soften. You let the eyelids become heavy, sealing shut. There is nothing to see here. The dark is friendly. Your ears, are they still straining for the sound of a footstep? You tell them to rest. The only sound is the wind outside, muffled and distant. It is a lullaby, not a warning. Your jar, is it still set against the cold? You unhinge it. You let the tongue fall loose. You let the face become blank. You take a deep breath. Inhale, you pull the air down into your belly, expanding against the weight of the blanket. Exhale, you let it go in a long, slow sigh that empties the lungs completely. With that exhale, you imagine the wall taking over the watch. You visualize the stone stretching out into the darkness, miles to the east, miles to the west. It does not sleep. It does not blink. It is the eternal sentry. Because the wall is awake, you can sleep. Because the stone is hard, you can be soft. You surrender your vigilance to the masonry. You say to the wall, it is yours now. And the wall answers in the silence. It answers with its mass, its stability, its endurance. You feel the vibration of the earth deep beneath you. It is a slow, pulsing rhythm, slower than a heartbeat, slower than a tide. It is the rotation of the planet. You drift. The room dissolves. The sensation of the blanket fades. You are floating in a warm, dark void. Thoughts come, but they are fragmented and dreamlike. The flight of the hawk, the taste of the tea, the sound of the bell. They swirl like leaves in a stream, drifting away from you. You are no longer a guard. You are no longer a soldier. You are just a breathing creature, safe in a burrow of stone. One breath, deep, slow. Another breath, soft, gone. The bell has rung. The book is closed. The light is out. The stone holds you. The night covers you. Sleep. There is nothing left to do. Sleep.